Bonjour classe et bienvenue à la leçon pour aujourd'hui. So today you're working from home and you're doing a little grammar spotlight into our major grammar point for this unit, which is reflexive verbs. So super useful, something that you've been seeing already over this unit and so far in just the past couple of weeks. And so we're going to unpack it a little bit more today. So you're going to be taking notes. I don't mind how you do this. I just care that you are organized. So if you already kind of keep your French notes all in a binder or notebook, go ahead and set aside a fresh page for this today within this unit, so it can be right there next to your class shared writing. If you kind of are way more organized on like the computer and have a Google Drive and have a French folder by now, then and you have grammar notes, then you can add these into a folder within French that's for grammar. And then we're going to finish with a short practice on PowerScore where you'll put your answers on PowerScore. Okay, so reflexive verbs in French are also called, or in French are called les verbes pronominaux. Les verbes pronominaux. I'll probably refer to them as reflexive verbs. And so we're going to unpack this grammar point that you've already been seeing, like as we've been speaking and doing the special person interviews and then writing them up. You have been using them, but not knowing exactly maybe why or how to be confident in doing it yourself. So that's why we kind of look at the grammar as more, now that you've seen it, instead of just doing it because I'm telling you to, being able to use it yourself. And so we'll practice. So within a couple of weeks, you'll be building on this foundation to be able to be more confidently using it yourself. And actually, really interestingly, some of my French 3s a year later are still able to use this. So it's not like super complicated. And it's something that you can always use. So there's a few sentences here that I've taken from the work that we've been doing. So I'm going to read them to you. So read along with me. Je me réveille à 6 heures et après je m'habille. Je me maquille. Kimberly se réveille à 9 heures du matin. Okay, so 3 phrases, 3 sentences. And I'm going to throw out a couple of questions to you. First one is, what patterns do you see in the language? That's where we get our grammar, comes from the patterns. Then the second one is, what do those patterns mean? What is it trying to say? Okay. So this is something that we kind of looked at the end of class yesterday. The me réveille, this me, is a little bit different. So je me réveille, je m'habille, je me maquille. And then for Kimberly, it's a little bit different. It's Kimberly se réveille. But we have this repeated pattern where we've got this extra little bit in between the pronoun, the subject pronoun, and the verb. It's like this extra little bit, subject pronoun, verb. And so that's the repeated pattern. So what do you think it means? Not sure? Okay, so I'm going to talk you through it on the next slide, and you can see whether you were right or not, whether your gut instinct was right or not. So a reflexive verb is used when we talk about an action that you do to yourself. So far we've been doing morning routine, and so this looks like the example of to wash yourself, to wake up yourself, to wake yourself up, to brush yourself, whether that's your hair, whether that's your teeth. You're brushing yourself, your own teeth, your own hair. And you're washing yourself, you're washing your own body, your own face, your own hair. That's what we mean by an action that you do to yourself. The action, and so that's that kind of reflex action is something that you do to yourself. This would be different as opposed to washing the dog or washing the car. That is not reflexive. The dog is not yourself. The car is not yourself. So a reflexive is when you're washing your own body, your own hair, yourself. That's different. Okay, so let's have a little look. How can you tell you're reflexive? So you easily can identify the verbs which are reflexive because we have this reflexive pronoun that indicates that the verb is reflexive. So se laver, se réveiller, whenever you see that, you know that that verb is reflexive. It's an action done to yourself. So like in this example of to wash, laver is to wash. So if you just use laver, je lave la voiture, I wash the car, that's not reflexive. But if I have se laver, then I know it's to wash oneself. Réveiller is to wake up. Se réveiller is to be woke, like to wake yourself up. Like I wake up myself. So this is called this part is called a reflexive pronoun. Okay, so that's what that is. So it's a reflexive pronoun. At any point, you're supposed to be taking notes. So at any point you want to pause the video and take notes, then you can. They're your notes. Take as long as you need to do that. Okay, so let's have a little look. I'm gonna, I think, clear off some of that stuff. Okay, so I've taken the example again, se laver, which is to wash oneself, I guess. And you've already seen these first three, because in our special person interview, we use to when we ask questions, to lave. And then we use the je, you've been using this on your Google Slides when you give your response, je me lave. And then il ou elle se lave, we've been using when we've been writing up and talking about them. So you're familiar with these. So this is the pronoun je me lave, to te lave, il se lave. The ones which are a little bit different that you haven't seen yet, but you may well use, is nous. And the pronoun for this is nous, so it's repeated. So these go together. Nous nous lavons. Vous vous lavez. Il se lave. Okay, so I've underlined the reflexive pronouns which correspond with each of the subject pronouns. This is an ER verb, so you can see that we have our ER endings which stay the same. So there's no change there to what you learned last year. The new thing is this subject pronoun. So don't worry too much about this. You should need to have this in your notes so that if ever you use it, maybe you want to talk about me and my sister, we brush our teeth together, or we brush our teeth. Nous nous brossons les dents. If you want to talk about they do something, they wake up, then you may use this, but you're probably going to use it less, but you never know when you might need to. So have it in your notes so you can refer back to. And then these first three right here, je, tu, and il or elle, are going to be the ones that you are going to ground you the most. Okay. So that's all well and good for having a positive sentence, which is I do this, I do that. What about making a negative sentence? You've already seen this negative sentence when we talk about makeup. Okay, because we've been using the question of se maquiller, maquiller, right? Je me maquille, I wear makeup. I put makeup on myself, my own face. Je me maquille. And so a negative sentence would be like, I don't put makeup on. I don't wear makeup. So anyone remember or guess based on instinct from the past 2 weeks, how to say I don't wear makeup. You put a ne and a pas around the reflexive verb, the reflexive pronoun and the verb. So right underneath here, we've got an example. Je ne me brosse pas les dents. So the ne and the pas go around both of these. So let's take the maquiller. Je ne me maquille pas. I don't wear makeup myself. I don't wear makeup. Je ne me maquille pas. Okay, so the ne and the pas, you know that ne and pas always go around the verb, but now they also go around and envelop all of it. Okay, again, that's not something that's a little on the harder side. You're going to be able to recognize it. You can read it and understand it, no problem. You can hear it and understand it, no problem. But it's the using it yourself where that's another thing to remember. So give yourself a break. Make sure your notes are perfect so that you've got great things to come back to when you're self-editing and checking your writing. Okay, so I want you to make sure that you're pausing the video as you need to. We're going to move on from these notes and we're going to get into some practice. Okay, so that's it in terms of all the notes you need. Let's practice so we see what that looks like. Okay, first thing is we're going to go from français à anglais. So you've got 3 sentences. I want you to try, and you can either write this down if you want, or you can just say it out loud to the screen. But je me brosse les dents, we put makeup on, and il s'habille. Oh, I've just realized I put this one in English. Okay, let's scrap this. Even easier now. And we have je me brosse les dents et il s'habille. So how do we say je me brosse les dents en anglais? I brush my teeth. Great. Now this is actually, I'm going to pause right here. This is actually pretty interesting too, because in English we say my teeth, but in French they say les dents. It's not mes dents. It's not mes dents, my teeth. No, the French don't say it like that. They say the teeth. So I brush myself the teeth. We cannot literally translate French sometimes. Word for word, it doesn't work. You end up sounding ridiculous. We now say, I brush myself the teeth. So you have to just get into the French mindset when you are writing in French and when you're speaking in French. Je me brosse is I brush. And then les dents. So whatever comes afterwards, I brush les cheveux. I brush the hair. Les dents. Je me brosse. I don't know what else you'd brush on your body, but les dents ou les cheveux. Okay, so it's kind of crazy concept, but the more that you start reading stuff, you'll be like, oh yeah, we don't say me, we don't say my in French, we just say le ou les. All right, what about this one down here? Il s'habille. How do you translate that into English? They s'habille. They get dressed. So we would say they get dressed. They dress themselves. Okay, let's move on a little harder. Numéro 2. Right here you have anglais, and you're going to try and translate it into français. Now you can feel free to write these examples down in your notes. You do not have to, you can just talk at the screen, but it might be really useful to come back to some good sentences right here as examples. Okay, so let's start with you brush your hair. And we can use you as the tu. Tu te brosse. Now remember, here we have les dents. So what is your hair? les cheveux. Très bien. Tu te brosses les cheveux. Okay. Next one. She showers. Comment on dit ça? Elle, she. Elle se douche. Elle se douche. Très bien. Okay, last one. I wake up. So wake up is réveiller. Oui, réveiller. So I is je me réveille. I wake up. Je me réveille à 7h30. Okay. Pause as you need to let those translations just kind of digest a little bit so you kind of get used to, and copy them down as you need to as well. So pause the video and then we're going to move on. Oh, okay. So we're going to move on with the test yourself, which is on Power School. And so all of these 5 sentences are on the Power School practice quiz on the Power School page. So you're going to fill in the gaps right here. Use your reflexive verb notes, the notes you've taken today, to find the correct missing pronouns, the missing reflexive pronouns. So there should be a little word that goes in here. So I'm going to read them to you, and that might help you think, well, what's missing? And then you can put your answers on the practice quiz on Power School. And you get 2 tries. So, you know, if you get it wrong, it'll tell you, and go back to the video, check, so you can try again. Okay? So, numéro 1, je habille. Numéro 2, nous brossons les dents. 3, vous douchez le matin. Numéro 4, elle maquille tous les jours. Et numéro 5, à quelle heure tu réveilles? Okay, so remember the correct missing pronoun is going to be me, or me, te, se, nous, vous, and that's it, or se. There's going to be a repetition of se. So have a little think. I'm going to give you one answer. Vous, vous. Vous vous douchez. Vous vous douchez le matin. That's your missing pronoun for numéro 3. So I've given you numéro 3. I want you to do 1, 2, 4, 5, as well as 3 by yourself. Okay? So that's it, Missy. That's it for the lesson for today. Once you've done this on Power School, you are all done. So, merci et au revoir.